Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to the Left Leg Fight Club. And as last week, I was meant to have done an interview with a friend of mine called Vinnie Adams, but unfortunately, due to some technical problems at his end with the internet, he couldn't make it. So, what we've actually decided to do, we're going to actually record this today because he's quite a busy man, and he's decided that he's going to come and do this with me today. So I'm going to bring Vinnie in, my friend, and welcome in. So welcome, Vmon. Hello, Vmon. Vinnie Adams, how are you doing?
I'm good, Dids. How are you, man?
I'm all right. I'm very good. So yeah, like last week, we had a few technical glitches with your interweb, and obviously the powers of the fiber optics not going optically.
Well, it was just after we had all that snow up here in Sheffield, and we're terrible in this country when it comes to a little bit of snow. Everything shuts down and breaks, so I'll put it down to that.
Everyone goes out and buys lots of loaves of bread and pints of milk.
Lots of toilet roll.
So yeah, I'm really glad to get you on here. Like, I've been trying to get you on here, and obviously, like I will explain to people as well. Vinny's been a massive help to me with obviously getting the channel set up and obviously getting this live streaming set up. So I just want to thank you for that. So that's very kind. So thank you for all what you've done in the background.
It's a pleasure.
With that, that's really like sort of quite good. Unfortunately, I've just got to turn my phone to silent, but I am expecting a phone call from the hospital. So
no worries, dude. No worries.
It looks a bit unprofessional, but hey ho.
Hey, it's YouTube. Come on, man. Good.
So basically, like I said in the trailer, I wanted to just basically touch base with obviously yourself. I mean, I know we've known each other 30 odd years now.
Yeah.
And obviously you've started this YouTube channel pretty much from nothing as far as what I've seen. I mean, I know that you've obviously tried delving in YouTube before many years ago when you was doing gaming. And then obviously, you had your skate company as well, which we will touch base on a little bit later.
Cool.
If that's okay with you.
Sure.
Obviously that's how we met through skateboarding back in the earlier days of our younger lives, about 2 years ago, I believe. I think I was about 13, 14. I think he was about the same age, I think.
Yeah, man. That was it.
So, yeah, those were some good times together. I mean, I don't know whether many people know that you was obviously, we had a bit of a passion for skateboarding, going around being reckless kids, going up and down the country. I don't know whether it be like having fun, harassing people, and just generally fucking about on a plank of wood and some wheels, I mean, what actually got you started into skateboarding? What was it that got you started into it? Because I know it was kind of for myself. It was kind of like through meeting Keith and then obviously Steve, and then an extension of that was obviously meeting you and your brother. I mean, what was it with you that got you into skateboarding from the start? Really,
I think it was my cousin. My cousin had a little like tiny plastic 70s board. And me and my brother just got it out while we were visiting him. He lived in Southam, and we got it out of his garage one day and just started rolling on it. And it was like this. It felt, it just felt so good. It was such good fun. And then because we lived in a small village, as you know,
yeah, definitely.
We had
I remember
couple of mates there, and we started on £20 setups from the market, from Wellesbourne Market. And then you start sort of expanding your reach when you hit secondary school and start exploring the local towns, and you meet more people such as yourself and Keith and others. And I guess that's where it all started, and it just grew from there.
Yeah. We did have some fun times over the years, making videos and stuff with like the likes of Steve, and obviously, other people that we've, that would become very sort of long lifetime friends. I think really, there's quite a bunch of us really. We still meet up now and again when we try to. I know obviously people have different lifestyle choices and different livelihoods, and it can be quite difficult, but we always try and stick together, which is cool. So yeah, that's cool, man. But yeah, we had some fun over the years, doing some pretty crazy things and some pretty mad shit. You know what I mean? But
yeah, it's part of growing up, isn't it, man? It was before the days of the internet, a lot of it. So it wasn't like
most definitely so.
We were out and about, full days out.
I mean, nowadays you can just access the joys of like, a lot of skateboarding stuff over the internet, your videos, your products, all your sort of like watching of different bits and pieces, your tutorials. I mean, even so much so that people are teaching skateboarding now, which was never an option when we sort of was around. We just used to teach each other how to do bits and pieces. And now people are charging like £20-30 an hour, making a living out of it, which just seems extortionate. But it's a way and means of life, really. If that's what it is, like, you know what I mean. So fair play to the people that are doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had to wait maybe once or twice a year. We'd get a new big skate video from a big company in the US.
Most definitely, yeah.
You know, we'd all pile up at someone's house to watch it, you know, and then we'd watch that same video for another 6 months until the next one came out. So we really didn't have access to a lot of media back then, but
VHS
cool about
VHS
that. Yeah,
I don't even think the kids of today would know what a VHS is. Well, you know, I don't even think they probably know what a DVD is, because I don't think they've even stopped producing DVDs now. I don't even know.
I don't know, man.
But yeah, you can get everything on the internet now. The joys of the internet, but then the downs of the internet as well, you know. But anyway, we've obviously touched on where we met and everything else, you know, and stuff like that. But what I really wanted to get to, like we discussed prior to obviously coming onto line, was obviously the rising success of yourself with your YouTube channel, and obviously also touching a bit on how others can basically maybe get started and move forward with that. I mean, just give us a brief explanation of really how you sort of started out with your first venture. I don't know whether you want to go back to the gaming. I mean, I know you had a little bit of success with that, but I know you didn't sort of like really get too far with that. And I think really this Disclosure Team channel, which is your sort of flagship at the moment, is really your sort of success. You know, it's I mean, like I say to you, I mean, I've got to take I've got to give you credit where it's due, especially to the fact that, you know, what you have done with it has just been absolutely incredible, you know, and it's absolutely fantastic, really, how you created this, you know.
Cheers, man. Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, it's just a lot of hard work, but you know, yeah, I'll touch upon. I did try the gaming thing back in, well, I don't know, 2015, 2016, but you know that the gaming part of YouTube, it's saturated. There's millions and millions of channels and people trying to do it in that niche. So you've got to stand out some way. And of course, I was just playing the same old games as everyone else. So, you know, there's no real surprise that it didn't take off, but I was having a hell of a lot of fun doing that, you know. So that was just a bit of fun. But with what I'm doing now and my subjects being UFOs, it's a lot more of a niche market. It's a lot smaller, the presence on social media and on YouTube. So I guess
I've just actually bought in your logo here, you know, your sort of your logo here, the Disclosure Team. I mean, this is on all platforms. I will put your socials in the link here. So
cool.
This is your sort of like little baby at the moment, the Disclosure Team, which, like you say, is on about UFOs and sort of all our unidentified flying objects and UAP and that's I don't know, all your mysterious goings on within the sky and interviewing all this sort of stuff. I watched some of your interviews, you know, and I know you've got some cracking sort of information on there. And I mean, the depths and lengths to your guests that you have on there, and the lengths and how deep you go into the subject is you know, it's beyond my realms, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like I said, you've got to be into it.
Myself. I mean, I don't get an understanding of it, but I do understand some of it, and it's very interesting to watch. I mean, just like I said, just elaborate on the whole Disclosure Team, really, where it started and how you sort of got into the UFO, UAP sort of phenomenon, as you might call it.
It's always been a passion of mine watching documentaries and stuff for about 15 years. And then I sort of, when I moved to Sheffield in like 2012, I was staying with my dad for a bit, and I would just spend long nights just delving through documents online that had been declassified from mainly from the US government, but also in the UK. So really digging deep into what the governments had studied on this topic over the years. And it just gradually builds up a knowledge base of that sort of thing. And then fast forward to, you know, the pandemic hit us a few years ago and everyone was locked indoors. And, you know, I thought, I've got to do something productive with my time. So first of all, I just started an Instagram page where I would just post things to do with the UFO subject that interested me. And it's not it wasn't little green men from outer space. It was more about, you know, what people have been seeing for decades and decades in the sky that they can't recognize, they can't identify. And so that's where I come from with this subject. It's not the conspiracy side of it. You know, I was posting regularly on Instagram, and I found that my follower count was really going quite quickly, you know, and I thought, you know, if I could do something with this, then that sort of led to me making friends with a few people in the UFO community. And a few of them had YouTube channels where they would do interviews and stuff. And one of them was my friend James, just kept saying, you should do the YouTube thing as well. And I was just like, yeah, but you know, it's a lot of extra work and all this, and everyone else is doing it.
I think it's more time and commitment as well, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, because it's not like, I mean, it's not like you're getting paid to do this. You're doing this fully functionally out of the goodness of your heart to obviously get your passion out there and see if you can get some sort of recognition. And then, as we all know, you know, it gets to a point with obviously, you know, your number of views, your number of guests, well, not your number of guests, your number of followers, that it does then lead to obviously monetization, or basically getting some sort of money from it. And then obviously from that, you're obviously going to get like links from maybe other outsiders within your sort of subject or genre that will contact you to obviously maybe go on their channels or podcasts or
absolutely
pieces, which I know we will touch base on a little bit later, which I know some other information which we will share with other people about different bits and pieces, what you've got moving on to and what you've done in the past with that.
Yeah, definitely, man. So yeah, and this is what I said to you when you were telling me about setting up a YouTube channel. You were like, how do I do it? And I said to you, you just got to do it. You just jump in and do it. And so that's what I was told as well. And so all I did was I set the channel up. I contacted a couple of people who I wanted to interview. And the thing about mine is the majority of them are live interviews. So it's almost like jumping in at the deep end, because there's no, you know, there's no re-recording, there's no editing. You've got to get it right. And that's it. I started it and I did it.
I mean, I do prefer the I think, to be honest with you as well. I mean, I mean, sort of some of the stuff that I'm doing. I mean, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I mean, I kind of like doing. I mean, I know I did a live interview just recently with the last guest, Graham Foote. Right. You know, we kind of spoke in the background before that, but I kind of like to keep it a bit raw. Where I know with yourself, it's kind of like you've got to do a bit of research because of obviously the because of obviously the subject and obviously also the people that you're interviewing. You can't really go into it blind because you're just going to look like a complete and utter fucking numpty. You know what I mean? And it's just going to basically not make it look professional as such. You know what I mean? But knowing me, I kind of like, me and you are two totally different characters. I'm kind of like a bit out there and wild, and
that's cool, man. And that's what the internet needs.
I want to keep it a little bit raw. And
I agree.
Rocking,
I agree.
Yeah, that's but lifestyle. You know,
I get, if I'm speaking to a Harvard scientist, astrophysicist, and I go in there blind without any research, I am going to look completely moronic. You know, just absolutely ridiculous.
You've got to maintain some sort of professionalism and boundaries. I get that, and obviously, you know, there is a bit of PC with all the stuff that goes on with some of the stuff on YouTube, and I get that, but you know, but there is a couple of us that like to be a bit sort of like, you know, out there. I know that, like, and I'm definitely one of them people, and I know the stuff what you're looking at is definitely out there as well, especially looking into the UFOs and stuff, you know.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I think, you know, I'm just looking, I've got my channel next to me. I've got 146 videos, and I think about 140 of them are interviews. And there's only so many people that I can interview. So a few I've had as returning guests.
Yeah.
But, you know, looking further down the line, I don't foresee this lasting a long time unless it changes into something else. And so, you know, luckily my work in this subject has gone beyond YouTube and social media to where I'm traveling now, whether it be speaking at conferences or going out to different countries to investigate stuff. So I think as my work in the subject evolves, so will my YouTube channel. So
I think really now is a good time to actually touch base on that, really, with obviously, you mentioned obviously, you know, going to conferences, other countries and stuff like that. Because I mean, I know obviously you have basically actually done a sort of a mini series, I believe. Was it called The Phenomenon? Was it something like that?
No, it's called Phenomenology.
That was, I knew it was somewhere thereabouts, but Yeah, I mean, I know you did like a series of that last year, and I think that was out in Colombia, wasn't it? Or
It was,
somewhere,
yeah, Colombia,
sort of,
yeah.
yeah, Colombia. And I know you're going back out there again to sort of do something similar. Would I be correct in saying that? I mean, would you like to elaborate on that for us and just give us a bit more further info? So I know you're going
Yeah,
out there quite soon, aren't you? Really, to go
yeah, in
do
a
that
few
again.
days. Yeah, so
Yeah, but that's going to be wicked, man.
oh, it's going to be incredible. So, this is what I was saying earlier about meeting different people through social media and the platforms and stuff. So I was contacted by a guy called Ashley Cowie. He's a Scottish explorer. He's done TV shows for the Travel Channel, History Channel, looking at ancient mysteries. And he contacted me. He sort of got into the UFO subject, and he lives in Colombia. He's married to a Colombian girl, and there's a mountain range on the edge of the Andes where these mysterious lights have been recorded in history for hundreds of years. And he wanted to put together a team to investigate it. So, to cut a long story
Right.
short, last February, myself and a couple of other friends and researchers went out to Colombia for 2 weeks to, speak to locals, investigate this mysterious case, and film a documentary series, which is available on Vimeo to rent, and that's been really good, really successful, and it's led to us being able to go back out. Yeah, there you go. That's it.
Well, this is it. I think this is like a sort of introductory thing I did find on the web about your sort of your program, and obviously your sort of fellow colleagues or
Yeah.
specialists that are going out. I mean, is this the team that was on the last one, or is this the team which is going out to Colombia this time, or is there anyone else different?
That was the original crew from last year, but we did have more people as well. Because what we do is we have our core team, but we open it up to members of the public who want to join in as well. So we may have like 3 people. If you want to come and be a part of this thing, you don't have to have any experience, just have an open mind and not be afraid to talk on camera. So we had people from different walks of life. We had a New York district judge, this lady, Lydia, who was 75 years old. She came out. We had a guy from London, into a business kind of guy come out. So people from totally different worlds. And we were staying in this big old mansion in Colombia as a team. That was our headquarters. And so, it wasn't just the day-to-day investigations. It was the behind the scenes, how the team bonded and got on, and the conversations that we had that were all portrayed in this documentary series, which did conclude at the end of the series in us witnessing this mysterious light phenomena that appears and has been reported on this mountain range. So this is what we're going back out to try and investigate. We're taking a lot more equipment out, scientific equipment, to try and capture and analyze this phenomena again. So yeah, I can't wait. It's literally a few days.
So what equipment are you taking out for that then? Are you talking like sort of drones and sort of like lasers and sort of stuff like that? I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I know nothing about the subject. Absolutely nothing at all. I mean, like I said, my main thing was to get you on here to just basically give you a bit of exposure, explain what you are, explain what you do, and obviously what you're doing moving forward. So yeah, just tell us what equipment you got. I mean,
so we're taking out things like tri-field meters and things that pick up the magnetic frequencies of the Earth itself. I'm taking out an infrared drone, so I could fly it up in front of this mountain day or night. I can see if there's people on the mountain, if this strange light phenomena appears, I can look at it in the infrared and see what data I can pull from that. We've got trail cameras, so we go up the mountain, we set up trail cameras, and that may pick up something anomalous. We don't know, but we've got an astronomical telescope set up because our headquarters is about 2 miles dead in front of this mountain. So we've got a perfect clear view of it day and night. So we've got astronomical telescope. We've got multiple cameras of different ranges of lenses and stuff. So we can really sort of capture as much data as possible this time around. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
That sounds absolutely, as good as it sounds, that sounds absolutely incredible, really.
Yeah, it's a beautiful location. We're in the rural Colombia. It's just absolutely stunning as well. So
well, that's it. I suppose not only might you find something which is going to obviously what you're going out there to look at, but also look at maybe some of the most like picturesque scenes of Colombia that anyone might be able to see, especially if it's in rural and sort of not touristy parts. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally off the beaten track.
See it how it is as a country and how it sort of functions and everything else. Even though so yeah, I mean that sounds really, really good. I mean, I also know that you've got something coming up after you've come back from there as well, haven't you?
Yeah. So at
You've
the
got
end of
some sort
June,
of
I head out
conference
to as a
coming up.
conference. Well, Roswell. A lot of people, even if you're not necessarily into UFOs, might have heard of Roswell. That was this famous alleged crash of a UFO in 1947 that has been covered up by the military and the government ever since. Well, they have many conferences out there, so I'm going out to actually speak at a conference for 3 days in Roswell, which is, you know, it's an honor to be invited out and flown out to such an important location with regards to this subject. So a few friends of mine will be speaking on the conference at the conference as well. So yeah, it's just going to be a great time. Again, being able to travel the world and getting invited to these kind of things is just amazing. So yeah,
So
looking
obviously,
forward to it.
with the sort of going back to what you're saying there about, obviously, you know, you're going to Roswell and obviously being so excited like in 1947. I mean, I'm assuming this is quite an historical place then for
Very
obviously what went on there in 1947. So can things still be sort of discovered there
possibly,
now?
yeah.
Now we've obviously, considering we're like nearly like sort of 80 years on from that last time. Is there still any sort of investigations or any evidence what could be gathered from that sort of that place where obviously this happened?
Potentially, yeah. And I say potentially because if the story goes that this flying saucer crashed and the debris, after it crashed, was spread out over miles of ranch land, the
Right.
military come in, clean it all up, take it away. Well, of course, why couldn't there be some small, tiny shard of strange materials left and buried in the ground there that the military didn't catch at the time? People are regularly going out there to look for this stuff, but some of the land is on private, restricted ranch land now, so even getting access to it isn't necessarily easy. So yeah, there's a potential for investigations to still happen out there. I think what it is as well is this is a fairly small town in America, and over the years, it's just become a tourist hotspot where every gift shop sells little alien toys and this and that and everything. So it's been commercialized by this story over the years, and it brings in good money to keep it, for a tourist town. So yeah, it's fun. It's a fun place, I hear. So, and I've got friends that live there and work there. So
That's interesting. That's quite good. So I mean, what else have you got going on this year other than that, really, in conjunction with conferences or any other places you're visiting or any other talks or anything like that? I mean, I know
I've got more stuff. I've got there's lots of conferences happening here in the UK. There's a big one coming up in, I think it's August this year, which is called the Awakening Conference in Manchester. It's for 3 days. So I'm not speaking at that one, but we get invited. Oh yeah, I suppose I should say this. I also work for a UK kind of think tank called UAP Media UK. There's a group of us who we speak with the government, MPs, the mainstream media. They come to us if they want to report on anything related to the subject, and we give them the kind of credible information. So we also like to have a presence at these conferences. So we set up a table where people can come and meet us and talk to us about stuff. So I'm doing that in August in Manchester. I am then speaking at another conference in I think it's September or October. I can't remember where that one is. I have too many things that I forget where they all are. And then I have one which hasn't been announced yet, which will be in November. Another one overseas, but I can't say anything else about it yet. I think we're announcing it on Monday, Sunday, something like that.
And that be on your channel, will it?
It will be across all my social media, my Twitter account, my Instagram account. Yeah, I don't think I'll make a video on the announcement.
Well, like I said, I'll put all the links to your socials in the description.
Cool, man. Appreciate it.
So yeah, I'll do that. So yeah, I mean, so really, then you basically what you've done is you turned your interest into a passion, and then turned your passion and interest into obviously this sort of thing now, which has become quite, by the sounds of it, quite successful and obviously quite worldly known.
Yeah.
And internationally known, and obviously has led to you becoming quite successful by all accounts.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of help along the way. You know, the good thing about interviewing these prominent figures in the community is that after these interviews, I stay in touch with them, and they then some of them become friends, and I then have access to and connections to other things and other people and stuff. So, you know, it can be a toxic community like any other community on the internet. You know, you have there's a lot of hate out there, but you know,
The thing is, you're going to get it everywhere, and you're going to get lovers. You're going to get haters. I mean, everything's you know, every sort of subject or everything someone does is a Marmite situation. You either love it or hate it. You know what I mean? You're not going to get everyone loving what you do, but then the people that do appreciate what you do, and they'll just basically just give you the credit where it's due and as when it's needed. You know what I mean? It's you know, it can be quite, like you say, it can be good and bad.
But you know,
which you've got to be you've got to be up for a bit of prejudice, really. You know what I mean? And people's opinions, you know, everyone's got an opinion. You know, they're like an arsehole. Everyone's got one.
And I'm all up for opinions.
But you ain't going to get people to just. You might be able to convert people's opinions. You might not, but you know, if you can change something or maybe enlighten something and maybe we get them to think something different, then fair dues, even if it's just something little size of a fingernail, which is fair enough.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not, and I'll say this to everyone all the time, is I'm not here to influence anybody or change anybody's mind on anything. The one thing that I will say is that anybody, like you said, is welcome to an opinion, and I respect the fact that many people have very different opinions. It's when it loses its maturity and its respectful conversation, when it becomes when people start attacking or with ad hominem attacks, that's when I just disengage. I will not bother responding to people that are just out there, you know, trolling, basically. That's
But the thing is, I completely get it. I mean, I was only literally just having a discussion yesterday with my with the last guy I mentioned earlier, Graham Foot. But you know, he posted something on Facebook, and a massive director of another bike company basically was put a real harsh comment on one of his posts, and it's like, well, why would you do that for when I'm just like an independent dude just trying to create something and make something for people and just create my own fun, when you're like this guy, like this like big managing director or CEO of this like big bike company, you're just basically just being a fucking dick by just putting these ludicrous comments on there. You know, you're just making yourself out to look like a complete and utter dick, really, even though like you know, you're working for this big corporate bike brand, and like you just slating me as just an independent, just trying to like just enjoying what I do, and I've been successful in doing it for a number of years. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally,
it doesn't work like that. Just basically just like fuck off. There's too many in today's modern life. There's just too many assholes and dickheads in this world to deal with, and just don't deal with them. Like I say, on the internet they call them trolls and stuff, and there's just too many of them. You just don't need it when you're just doing something or just what you enjoy doing or
whatever. This is it, you know.
But that's part of social media, and that's
and you know, I learned that a long time ago. You know, there's no going back and forth, or you'll just end up in a loop. Just disengage. You know, they've clearly got an ulterior motive or a reason why they feel the need to turn a conversation into an attack. Leave them to it. They've got issues.
And the thing is, you'll block them, and then they'll open up another account, and then they'll just do it. They'll just do it even the more, and it's like, okay, just whatever. You just got to leave them to get on with it. You know, them sort of people. You know, you get it every walk of life. You know,
I mean, some of them are funny. Honestly, I get accused every now and again of working for the government or working for the CIA, purposefully spreading misinformation on this subject. And I'm like, these people are crazy. I'm just a regular dude in England with a daughter and a missus who does this, and then they think I'm some secret agent or something. It's absolutely hilarious, man. Honestly, and I really wind them up sometimes. They're the ones I will engage in and be like, "Oh, you've got me," you know, things like that. It's
I think really, knowing how long I've known you, I know some of your secrets the same as you know some of mine. But you know what I mean. But you know, as friends and everything else. But you know, but it's just what it is. People just want to try and get a little bit more exposure and just like, I don't know, just generally just be arses, you know. And as we get older in life, we just can't be bothered dealing with them, really. You know, I know I can't, and I know you can't. So, but unfortunately, when you've got when you've got a channel which is doing well and people have got mixed opinions, that's what's going to happen. There's just going to be people out there that got nothing better to do with the time and just sit there and just be complete and it's a fucking nerds really. But
yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm all up for, if someone watches one of my interviews on my YouTube channel and they give me constructive feedback, constructive criticism, I'm all for that as well. It's when people just, say this was shit or whatever. I'm like, well, it doesn't really help me, I don't mind you saying that, but tell me why. Tell me what I should have done better. Or what are you doing better? People are
tell me something tell me something what you might know, what I might know, which basically might educate me, and then we can come together and maybe do something a little bit constructive.
That's
totally get it. Totally get it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all good. But yeah, I mean, I really think so I think really you've touched base on obviously how you got into obviously USO, you turned your passion and your interest into this great channel, the Disclosure Team, and obviously like you said, you've got your Twitter, you got your Instagram. I know your Instagram page has got quite a phenomenal amount of followers. I think it's got like 20, 30,000, something like that, and then
36,500. Yeah.
I mean, I haven't touched base on your Twitter because I don't really know what Twitter is. You know what I mean? I just don't get it, and it's never been a sort of social media platform that I've chosen to get into. Really, I've never understood it, and I don't think that it would ever interest me. But I understand that probably for yourself, it's quite a good platform, and I know it is for some other people.
Yeah.
So obviously with the filming of the second series, so when's that going to be released, sort of thing? What have you got a release date for that, and what platform
I think
will that be on?
That's a good question. I think it'll be released in July, in the summer. Last year, we had conversations about where the series would be released. Vimeo is a really good platform for putting out independent content, for rent and stuff. There's you don't get stiffed by it. You don't get platforms taking loads of money and percentages of it. So Vimeo is really good. But we had conversations with big companies who would potentially do something. But the problem with that is you lose creative control. They want to edit it a certain way. They want to they want to make it look something different to what it actually is and what the intention was. So this time, again, we're going to keep it independent. So I dare say it will go out on Vimeo again. But who knows? If I've got a lot of friends again through this subject who I speak to at TV networks, and they're looking at these things. They've got copies of the series, and there may be future conversations. But it's not my baby. I'm just a part of it. So it's not for me to make these big decisions, and it's got to benefit the person Ashley who does all the work, who spends 3 months of the year editing it and everything, away from his normal work. So we'll see. This thing could grow. It could just keep it independent. I really don't know. All I know is that it's fun, and we're going to keep doing it.
That's cool. Then that's cool. That is. So really, I think. So obviously, I know you gave the advice of saying like with the YouTube thing, you want to just go out there and do it, just do it, and obviously follow your what you want to do and everything else. I mean, is there any other advice what you could give off the back of that? Really, for other people like myself and other people that are thinking of obviously going down the streets or avenues or of looking at getting YouTube channel up and running.
Yeah, I mean, there's no golden rule really. There's no one thing that if you do it, it's gonna, be totally successful the whole way. But one thing, is YouTube, the algorithm likes certain things. It likes consistency. It likes, things like your thumbnails, your descriptions, just make sure they're all filled out, and hashtags can help sometimes as well. But there are companion apps that you can get like TubeBuddy and vidIQ, I think is another one that they help you on a day-to-day basis. They give you little things to teach you about doing it, and I found that really helpful as well. I mean, my channel's not even that big. I don't consider it big at all. It's growing at a reasonable rate, and that's fine.
Yeah, but elaborate on how long you've been doing your channel.
I guess it'll be 2 years in the summer, June. 2 years in June.
But if you look where you was 2 years ago, I mean, me looking from the outside in, maybe not looking as someone who is just into your subject, but as a friend as well. But if you look and I think I speak for quite many here. If you look from the outside in, from where you first started to where you are now, but look at where you was then when it was just only something what you studied and you obviously had a passion for, and you look at the community that you've got around you, you look at like where you've gone with it, you know, to different countries, to different conferences, being invited to join other sort of what would be the word? Other people that are
Organizations.
studying it, like the UAP media that you're part of.
Yeah.
I mean, really, for just under a 2 year sort of window, in my eyes, that I deem that as being quite a successful and gallant thing.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit and toot my own horn, but it's been a hell of a lot of work. You know, I put in
Exactly that. Yeah,
50, 60 hours a week into this. So I guess I am seeing the fruits of my labor to a degree, and I'm happy. I'm more than happy with that. So yeah, I mean, I was just really talking about YouTube channel on its own. I'm happy with it, but you know, it's not the be all and end all of the work I do, I suppose.
But then it's opened up a window to open other doors.
Yeah, it is. It's a stepping stone,
I mean?
Definitely. Yeah, it's a really good stepping stone, and
most definitely so. And I think that's, you know, I think the way you worded that is very sort of, it's very correct, really. You know, it has been
like I said earlier, it's got to evolve.
You know, you're definitely going up the ladder and not down it.
Yeah, but I mean, I will run out of people to interview eventually, so it has to evolve. So you know, if I am going, you know, when I go to Colombia to film this series, I am going to be filming myself, like a behind the scenes, and then when I come back, I'll be putting out my own mini documentary, you know, behind the scenes, 2 weeks in Colombia, investigating and filming a documentary. So that'll be quite interesting, I'd imagine. So yeah, it's just things like that. I've got to think of new ideas, and you know, I've got a co-host who joined me only a couple of months ago. Katie.
I mean, would you like to elaborate on that? Because obviously, I have followed your channel since pretty much day one when you've done it. I mean, I'm not going to admit I don't watch it religiously all the time live. I do watch it, some of your shows, you know, outside of the live thing. I mean, I know that obviously you did do a lot of this on your own, but I know now you have got a co-host. So I mean, would you like to elaborate on that? I think is it Katie? Is it?
Katie, yeah. So Katie, I've been thinking for a while, I wanted to bring somebody on board who can complement the channel. You know, a lot of the stuff I cover is related to the way that the US government and the US military look at the subject of UFOs. And so Katie, she was an intern for Joe Biden when he was vice president many years ago. She's worked on Capitol Hill, so she knows the inner workings of the US government. And so to have somebody like that on board really helps, you know, me understand the way that the US government works, because, you know, I don't know that much about it. I'm learning. But Katie's also into other sort of esoteric kind of subjects regarding UFOs, like consciousness and stuff like that. So she can help from multiple angles. So, you know, two heads are better than one as well. So it's been really good having her on board. And
so it's definitely been a sort of credit to your channel then, really.
Absolutely. She's just incredible. Like. She's so knowledgeable and just a wonderful friend as well. So, yeah.
Again, I'm guessing that obviously from what you're saying, I'm guessing like the whole UFO thing obviously probably is regarded quite a bit more bigger in the States than what it is in the UK. Would I be right in saying that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the US government have a program, a UFO program. They have an office in the Department of Defense that studies UFOs. You ask the British government, and they're like, "Oh no, we don't do anything like that." I mean, they used to. It stopped nearly 20 years ago. But
look at the state of the British government at the moment. I don't think they're not standing their ground with anything at the moment. Never mind, obviously, stuff what you've got going on. But that's another subject and another day to be discussed. You know what I mean? Because they're pretty well. Let's just leave our opinions on that there.
Good idea. Yeah. No. So yeah, you know. So I guess my focus has to be outside of the UK. I look at a lot of historical cases here in the UK. I've got a good friend who lives here in Sheffield. He teaches at the university, Dr. David Clark. He's been studying this subject for decades. He's a prominent researcher. He's done all the TV documentaries. He writes blogs on it. He's a serious investigator. So I've been working a lot with him, and he comes on my channel probably once every 6 weeks, and we look over something historical and things like that. So, you know, that's again another angle of what we do on the channel. So yeah, it's great.
Cool. Well, I think we've pretty much touched base with everything around, obviously, you know, your interest and obviously how you brought it into the limelight, and you know, doing what you do with it and being successful as you can be, and obviously moving forward. So yeah, I think, you know, fair play to you, you know, and I wish you the best of luck moving forward.
Thank you, man.
You know,
Appreciate it.
and I know that obviously, you know, my channel's only just starting up, but my channel's obviously just going to be a bit of this, that, and everything. You know, a bit of a lifestyle channel, a bit of mountain biking.
That's cool, man.
Stuff moving forward, and obviously for people that know me, I'm a bit of a crazy wild person, but as you well know. But I mean, I don't know whether there's anything else you want to sort of discuss, really. I mean, I think we've covered it. I mean, we've obviously sort of took space on obviously how we met and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, so I mean, it's been great, obviously, speaking to you, and you know, and like I said, you know, thanks for all the support you've done with my channel. You know what I mean, in the background.
Anytime.
I mean, I know my channel's still up and coming and everything else, but what I will say, so do you mean, obviously, do you want to just let people know where and when they can find you, and obviously just, you know, give any shout outs to anyone that you want to sort of big up or whatever, you know what I mean, and stuff like that?
Well, thank you first of all for having me on. I really appreciate the invitation. It's been
thank
great.
you. I mean, I know this has been just like from when I first started doing this. I mean, I know I've been speaking about doing this YouTube channel for quite a while, and obviously with the emphasis of how the Left Leg Fight Club come about, which I'm not going to go into because enough people have obviously heard about it, and I know you've been following my story because of the emphasis of how we know each other, you know. So, yeah. But yeah, just let people know. So, you know, obviously where can they find you? I mean, obviously, do you have a regular time and slot of what you've got going on with YouTube channel, when your shows are, your live streams, etc., etc.?
Yeah, I mean, I try and do Wednesday nights in the UK, sort of 8-9 o'clock. I do a live interview every Wednesday, but that does swap and change because the majority of people I speak to are in the US. So with time zone differences and the people's busy schedules, that can change. But I suppose the best thing to do is follow me on my socials at Instagram and Twitter if you're on Twitter, but Instagram mainly. I always put out, you know, regular news information about the subject, and also anything I've got coming up, whether it be YouTube stuff, any of my conferences, any of the investigations and trips abroad. It's just a good platform. But if you pop them in the description below, because there's so many I could spout off that it's too many. So I'd appreciate that.
Well, I'll put your links up because I know there is links onto there is links for your channels in the trailer which I put out last week, but I'll obviously copy that back in.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Again, Vmon, thank you.
Cheers,
thank
dude.
you for joining the Left Leg Fight Club. And as I always say, thank you very much. Cheers. Peace out. Big love. Left Leg Fight Club. Over and out. See you soon.